Powerful. This country is very powerful. It's far more powerful than people understand. We have weaponry that nobody has any idea what it is, and it is the most powerful weapons in the world that we have. More powerful than anybody not even close.
Well, I can tell you we shared it with America, but I can't share it with you. Okay? The most advanced offensive weapons on the planet, things that none of the superpowers have, developed by Israel, shared with America.
The sonic weapon that took out many of the Cuban bodyguards that were used to defend Maduro. Lots of people saw the details about that weapon and were concerned. Is that something that Americans should be afraid of, something the United States is combating?
Yeah, it's something I don't want to, nobody else has it. We have weapons that nobody knows about. And I say it's probably good not to talk about it, but we have some amazing weapons. That was an amazing attack. Don't forget, that house was in the middle of a fort, an army base.
And they also asked, could you elaborate on what's the Gorgon stare that Ashton Forbes has spoken about both on social media and here on the show? I haven't had Ashton on here in a while, but the last time I did have him on, he spoke about that program, Gorgon stare, and basically wanting to know, can you tell us a little bit more about what that is and why it would be so secret?
Yeah, I can't.
This is the part. This is the part, by the way, where I said I'm not sure you're going to be able to answer it if it's really in your wheelhouse. I figured you would know about it, but I figured you probably can't talk too much about Gorgon stare. But I mean, can you say anything?
Yeah. No. No.
Fair enough. But it is real. It does exist.
I would say that Ashton's very good at his research.
Okay. All right. I guess we will leave it at that for the Gorgon stare question.
Ashton Forbes, you know, that super jacked guy.
Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night. Good night, Malaysian 370.
Breaking news tonight, a Malaysia Airlines flight with 239 people on board, including 4 Americans, has gone missing.
Even as these grainy satellite images released today by the Chinese government.
Why shoot it down, though, if it's not hostile?
Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space.
Why the Americans would?
They leave distance annihilated.
This country is very powerful. Far more powerful than people understand. We have weaponry that nobody has any idea what it is, and it is the most powerful weapons in the world. Not even close.
I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." I suppose we all thought that, one way or another.
Are you ready? Welcome to the live stream, everybody. And yes, it is time for war. I have had enough. I have realized we have sat around waiting for too long while our enemies have been gathering and they have been strategizing and planning. And what did I tell you guys 2 years ago? There is no way in hell I'm letting anyone get a hold of the narrative. I'm not even letting you get on the field. So when I see Lou Elizondo, Dan Farah, all of woke disclosure suddenly encroaching on our territory, you didn't say the magic word. I'm sorry, you don't get to ignore this movement. You don't get to ignore what we have put together, the weapons that the United States government has developed. Just because you don't want to admit that Ashton Forbes was right, that MH370X was correct, that we teleported an airplane, the exact technology that you're trying to disclose. That ain't going to happen. In addition to that, this is a 2-for-1 special tonight, friends. We got a 2-for-1 special. You ready for this? Buy one, get one free. I think we've figured out who exactly zapped MH370. I haven't been listening to my own advice. Keep it simple. Why are we adding more characters to this whole situation? Who zapped MH370? Well, let's look around. Instead of just assuming everybody is lying, let's assume they're telling the truth. What have they been saying? They've been saying that the program is reverse engineering UFO anti-gravity technology. The very technology they're saying now is wormholes. Well, wait a minute. I'm watching MH370 get zapped out of the sky by some fusion orbs on Air Force Gorgon Stare wide area motion imagery. And I'm seeing this being done by a defense contractor's surveillance technology and a defense contractor's drone technology. And I'm seeing a covert operation. And so I was a little bit slow. Because let me pull this up and look at this together. Sometimes the answer is just staring us straight in the face. And so I was looking at UAP Gerb's Twitter, and I saw this. And I remembered this whole legacy program that the UFO people are talking about. It's not its own elite group. It's a representation of communication and organization between several different groups. That's what this program represents. And which exact groups are those? I believe it was Eric Davis that mentioned this. I can't remember who said this about the legacy program. I think it was him at the Seoul conference. The CIA, the Department of Energy, the Air Force, and the defense contractors. Well, will you look at that, chat? What do you have there? Well, we've got Sierra Nevada Corporation, defense contractor, probably Lockheed Martin, definitely Northrop Grumman, General Atomics drone. So we've got almost half a dozen defense contractors. We've got Department of Energy fusion. How do we know that the Department of Energy must know about those fusion orbs? Because they have the charter for fusion. We learned exclusively on this live stream channel, the Department of Energy has the charter for fusion. That's why the Navy was afraid to research it and spend money on it. So we've got the Department of Energy, we've got the defense contractors, we've got Air Force Gorgon Stare wide area motion imagery. That's who that Sierra Nevada Corporation made the Gorgon Stare for, is the Air Force. We've got a plane flying in the air, presumably. We've got 2 drones next to it. We've got Air Force. And who do we have at the top of our little pyramid here? Of our little group of schemers. Oh, we've got the CIA. Chat, if you don't know, who knows who my favorite CIA officer is? We don't call them agents. That's what the noobs call them. That's what the normies call them. The CIA officers, or whatever the hell they call themselves. I don't even really care. Who's my favorite? If you say John Ramirez, you're wrong. It's Ron Pandolfi. Yes, JK Philly fan always knows. I'm secretly JK Philly fan, actually. That's me messaging myself. Ron Pandolfi, chat. My favorite CIA agent. Every time I want to talk to the CIA, I just email Ron Pandolfi, and within 30 minutes, I get a response of him calling me a dickhead or saying I have to go to a mental institution or some other completely over-the-top response that just isn't warranted whatsoever. I love him. I'm actually secretly, I think, on his side. So, first of all, Ron Pandolfi, no question, knows about that operation. And I'm going to show you some stuff tonight. We're going to go through it. And I'm going to show you that I don't think we need any more characters in our story. I think we found the legacy program. I think these people talking about the legacy program, they were in it or are in it in some cases. They are the legacy program. They didn't just find it. Look at the people that wrote those scientific papers, the DIRDs, the Defense Intelligence Reference Documents. Do we have to find another group of humans that's making advanced technology and writing scientific papers? No, we don't. We've already got them. And we've already been tagging them and connecting them to the CIA through the JSONs, which is a real group that meets just to gatekeep physics because they fucking love it. They love gatekeeping physics from the normies. So, fuck these people. And frankly, I don't even care who's in the program, but war were declared on all of them. To quote the famous Candace Owens, I want all the smoke. I want all the smoke. So now we enter the stage of the investigation where we start to figure out who these people are. And the good news is we already have a really good idea. We already have a really good idea. So let's break into the very first piece of interesting evidence for tonight. One of the things that I've decided to do is look back at previous evidence now that I know even more about physics, electrical engineering, the UFO lore and mythology, which I knew very little about before all of this. And I decided, I think somebody linked it and said, Ashton, go look back at that congressional document from the UFO hearing that we've looked at before that has like Pudov's name in it. So let me pull this up real quick. Close this. What's going on with this thing? Okay. This is the document. And this document is a timeline. Before I do that, actually, what is the plan? What is the plan? I think this is a very valid question that probably more of you should be asking me. How are we actually going to fight? And how are they fighting? The answer is they are subversive. They are monitoring the situation. They know the narrative that resonates with people. And they can see that the alien narrative, it just isn't cutting it. It sucks. It doesn't sell. Normal people don't want to have sex with aliens, and they just don't care unless the aliens are coming here to give us money or something awesome. What they care about is the technology. That's what's resonating. So now we can see they are going to encroach, as I've said, upon the narrative, which is, how did the aliens get here? 2 years ago, this was the question I challenged the UFO people. I said, how are your little flying saucer things getting here? Because they're not flying SpaceX rockets. I can just do the math and find out that it's going to take like tens of thousands of years to get here from just Alpha Centauri alone. So that's off the table. And they wouldn't answer the question, thinking that wormholes are silly. The people that think aliens are coming here thought wormholes were silly. Now they're trying to retcon that narrative. They're going to retcon that, pretend like that never happened. They never thought wormholes were silly. They never thought warp drives were silly. They always loved Star Trek, chat. They always loved Star Trek. Of course, they always thought it was real. They're going to say, yeah, wormholes and warp drives. Yes, the scientific papers have been out there, but this Ashton guy and his theory about this plane, that's silly. That's silly. Don't look at those videos, those military videos, which any actual person in intelligence is going to know right away those are legit. And don't ask any questions to anybody in intelligence either. And they're pivoting. They're pivoting. They're going, okay, yeah, all of a sudden, here's how it works. There's like an extra dimension, and they're traveling through wormholes, and it's all about 0-point energy. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Are you actually kidding me? It's like you literally just cloned me and you made DEI Timu version of Ashton Forbes. I'm actually legit triggered, going to crash out about this probably for the entire stream. So if you don't appreciate it, doesn't humor you, then get the hell out. So they roll up with DEI version of Ashton Forbes that the purple-haired leftists can get behind. Okay, well, you know what? This guy made Ready Player One, chat. I can believe this guy because he made a cutesy movie with CGI anime characters that I play my video games in. I can trust him. He's somebody I can trust. Plus, he hates ice, too. You know, like you can already see it coming. You can already see he's being very careful not to say his political leanings. And the reason why he's not saying his political leanings is they're afraid to push away the conservatives and the right, if you can believe it. They don't want them to know they're woke lefties. They don't want them to know that. Now, it's aside the point. I don't care what your political spectrum is. I'm just pointing it out to show you how they either don't see the bigger picture, they're being used, or they're in on it. They're in on this subversive thing. So, digging through this document, going back, they have been trying to steal the narrative. The way we are going to get ahead of them, how are we going to fight back from the narrative? We are going to do the thing that I said at the very beginning, stack the evidence so high that there's absolutely no way they can steal it without giving credit to the people that found it. This is where you all come in as well. It's not just me. I'm not dressed up like a general. Do I look like a general? No, I'm just a common folk. By the way, they tried to steal that narrative too. This is why I'm crashing out so hard. Literally listen to Lou Elizondo tell Jillian Michaels, I'm just a common normal dude. No. Fuck you, bro. Fuck you, bro. No, that is literally my thing because I actually am a normal dude who is a healthcare IT guy that had nothing to do with this, nothing to do with the government. Although technically now I'm a government contractor indirectly, but I have nothing related to any of this stuff. Lou Elizondo is a career counterintelligence officer. He's directly involved. He said on Jillian Michaels, he got pulled into the program in a way where it made it sound like he was involved and in on it. Not like he was investigating it, like he's in on it. This is the guy. He goes, I'm a normal dude. What do you mean? Doesn't he have stories about torturing people? That's not very normal, man. None of that's normal. Being a spook in the government's not normal. That's not a normal person at all. These people, man, you really they are subversive snakes, and you got to be careful. They're very careful to not interact because they know their bullshit's going to get called out just like that. Just like that. So the other thing, not only are we going to stack the evidence so high, we're going to just push out way ahead of them on this. Like, we know the people. We know the engineers that were involved in this, starting directly with Ferris Williams. Ferris Williams, public enemy number one right now. You are in the sights of MH370X. By the way, BTW, I love you, boo. BTW, Ferris Williams, S-tier GOAT, no doubt, instantly promoted to S-tier GOAT, even though he's already dead. 5D, 5-dimension theory. It's staring us. The answers are staring us straight in the face. You don't have to even be any high IQ person to understand what I'm about to tell you right now. The guy that corrected the thermonuclear yields, I went and confirmed this information. You can double check it yourself. The calculations were too low. Ferris Williams rolled up, said that's actually at least 150% of what you have documented here. So the question has been, what is the thing that Ferris Williams figured out that allowed for the nukes to have 50% higher yield? That's a huge difference. Was it chemistry? There's not a lot of variables involved in a thermonuclear weapon. So was it the chemistry of the hydrogen atom? No. It can't be that, because that's still exactly the same. We know that energy levels, all the bullshit related to that. What could it be? It has to be the pressure. The pressure. If you look at Ferris Williams' 5D theory, he essentially says we have to add an extra dimension. The same way where we have up and down and left and right, imagine an invisible dotted line dimension that is connected to all of these points, that connects all points in space and time that we don't perceive. And he says, what we have to imagine is, if we're imagining our thermonuclear weapon, I love talking about how thermonuclear weapons work, Ron Pandolfi, BTW. Love you too, boo. Imagine our thermonuclear weapon. We are compressing our fusion bomb with a big boom on the outside. Or in this case, we're going to be smart and use an electric bomb, plasma, and we're going to compress our fusion core and cause a little black hole to happen there. Think about it like that. Well, what's the thing that's happening there? Where's the extra source of energy that was classified, that Ferris Williams found? It's the space itself. If I started with this much space and I compress this down, I compress my object down, I have to consider the 0 point energy that's in that region too. Not just the matter, not just the hydrogen, but the 0 point energy in that region too must also be considered. Boom. Drop the mic. That's bringing the ether back. We're going to go through the details of felony physics on Friday. I've already gone through it, but we don't have time to go through all that tonight. Friday, we're going to go through that felony physics, because that's the thing that they've been hiding. And they've been hiding it because when he corrected that, they realized there are several implications for this extra dimension that allows for more energy. The one that I'll tell you right now, the big thing I'll tell you right now for the big brains that want to understand this better, Ferris Williams was even able to show that there's a limit to how much energy you can pull out of the vacuum. There's a limit to it. So you can pull so much, but it actually depends. So what he found out is not just energy in the equation, but how energy flows over time in geometric space. He added complexity to it. Now, why is this important for the evidence? Well, we have to stack up. We know the answer. We have the biggest leg up. This is why it would actually be the biggest fumble in history if somehow we let Dan Farah, Lou Elizondo, all the other douchebags or whatever catch up. Because we have the biggest lead, head start. We know the answer. We saw MH370 get sapped out of the sky. So we look at that. And for the last 2 years, we've been reverse engineering that 3 nights a week on live streams. And what we found out is, extra dimension, that explains it. That's how an object can teleport. Just from a pure logical understanding, we take our Bible here. Perfect book, by the way. This is how it can teleport. You ready for this? This is us down here on this flat surface. This is our 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional reality, including time. You add one more dimension. Bloop. Now you can do this. Now you can do this, chat. Connect any 2 points just like this. So the wormhole is my hand. The mouth is my fingers. That's how it works from a dimensional standpoint. So they figured this out. We know they figured out some extra dimensional physics, a wormhole or whatever you want to call it, but it's a wormhole. Magnetic wormhole, if we're being very specific, uses magnetism where the magnetic fields are invisible between the regions. Virtual wormhole, whatever you want to call it, allows things to teleport. Don't give a shit. It's teleportation. We have to figure out who are the people in this program. Who are the king douchebags that decided we weren't worthy of this information? And if you care about this, I don't necessarily, where it comes from. Did the aliens bring it here to us? Did it come from ancient civilization? Is there no aliens at all? And this is just all straight up from nuclear technologies that we figured out. So one of those best ways to figure this out is actually to look back at this document. In fact, one of the things I did here was just search for Frank Mead, because we've looked, and Frank Mead, if you're thinking that teleportation is real and that the U.S. government has it, I mean, it just all points right at Frank Mead. Air Force Research Labs. He's commissioning teleportation physics study, ball lightning study for your little plasma balls. There isn't anybody else doing what he was doing. If they are, they're not, their papers aren't public. So we've got Frank Mead. So let's take a gander at what Frank Mead's been up to here on this little document. The first mention of him shows up here. There's actually not that many. So it talks about in 1968, Northrop, and this is really good to understand the history of the defense contractors. The defense contractors have been merged so many times that ultimately, like, all of the big defense contractors in aerospace are somehow a piece of this, have been involved at some point. Boeing, Northrop, Lockheed, all of them. Okay, so they talk about this idea of electrostatic fields being used around the B-2. This is, people ask me this a lot, actually, if I think that the B-2 and our stealth fighters are using electrostatics. Of course they are. Are you kidding me? They didn't just start with plasma orbs. They built up to the plasma orbs. So you're looking at this, and this is 1968. They already knew about this in 1968. All you have to do is charge your wings, right? So you take the Byfield-Brown effect, positive and negative charge, and the positive charge is just chasing it. This allows for thrust that, like, just brings something up vertically. That's all asymmetric capacitor is. It's like basically like using two magnets, but electrostatic charge instead. So you do this on your wing. Do the same thing on your wing. Charge one part of your wing, and now in theory you can control your lift. It doesn't have to like give you perfect control, but just give you a little boost, like little training wheels. So let's throw that out there. As many claims as we can get. This is how we fight back. And this is where I need your guys' help as well. We have found the answer. Now we need to be going back through. And a good example is someone like Tom Hudson, who he's found way more. I can't even keep up with how much he has found. Or if you are more on the creative side, work some memes in there. Not everybody's a scientist. Not everybody's an engineer. Me, I'm not an engineer. I'm more physicist / influencer. So those are a couple ways where you guys can assist if you want to be involved in this. Or if you can build something, build something. Because here's the other thing. We're now getting to the point where we can build something that can prove these, or people are already building and doing experiments that will prove some of these concepts to be true and real. And we'll talk more about that in felony physics on Friday, because I was digging into some of that too. Now, going back to this, talks about Thomas Townsend Brown right here. This method is the same as Thomas Townsend Brown proposed in the 50s, what Frank Meade, 1972, C-1972 at Edwards Air Force Base pursued, what Hal Puthoff suggested, and what Mark McCandlish testified to. Are you? Okay, so look, I'm looking at this, and right there's the answer. Like, it's every single one of those points, I believe. The one I have least credibility in is the Mark McCandlish story. But I've actually watched the Mark McCandlish story, and even though he doesn't fully understand the physics of the 0-point energy, he understands it well enough to explain it to people that, you know, a normal person, similar to like how I do. So I think he's legit too. So I think everybody on this list is legit, and that's a straight up timeline. That is a straight up timeline. For those of you at home, here you go. Thomas Townsend Brown, 1950s. This predates the fusion bomb, 1950s. Does not predate fusion, though, because Ronald Richter, was it Ronald Richter? Yeah, in Argentina, was working on aneutronic fusion in 1953. So still. But then Franklin Meade picks this back up. I'm going to show that one in a second. And then Hal Puthoff. So what this suggests is that the physics has been evolving. Now, what I'm saying here is that this is something that also will address some of the other people out there that have been criticizing the physics and just criticizing physics in general. Do not get stuck in the weeds over this person's theory is more right. My theory is more. I see people all trying to say my theories. I figured all this out, guys. We need to absolve ourselves of that part of the ego on this. It's going to make it very difficult for us to get disclosure if everybody's trying to claim credit. If, you know, everybody's trying to say like, no, your theory doesn't account for this one little aspect or whatever. Like, the 5D theory is the basic framework. And we're going to talk more about that on Friday. But the idea is that we can take, when we add an extra dimension, it adds new terms to Maxwell's equations. We're already familiar with one of them, the scalar. So it adds these extra terms. This is the big thing, because that's your engineering method to build anti-gravity, to interact with the medium. Beyond that, people want to argue about which kind of fucking wormhole it is or whatever. Go jerk off on Reddit about it, right? Like, that's just not that significant. BTW, I love all you guys, but that's just the point I want to bring up here, okay? Cool. Especially when you look at this, because all this stuff has basically been figured out since the 50s. The problem has been the suppression and why it hasn't come out publicly. It's probably been independently figured out like dozens of times. That's how crazy this is at this point. But here's our history of it. Now, this is also important for the people that want to either believe or not believe aliens. Everybody is so polarized on the alien situation. I personally don't give a fuck about the aliens. But some people are like adamant the aliens don't exist. Other people are like, you know, they definitely exist and they're, you know, raping me in my dreams or whatever. Here's the thing about it. We have a timeline here that says this physics goes back to the 50s. So if you are on the side that the aliens are fake, here's where you can say that there weren't really aliens before the 1950s. Bill Maher even brings this up. I'm going to try to play the clip, but just in case I forget, Bill Maher says this whole thing kind of came around like after nukes were developed. And if you think about that, you should go, well, it's probably us, right? So there's one way you can argue it. And the other way, I guess you can argue it is you can say, well, there's no way we could have had this technology before that. And we had like stuff like the Foo Fighters happening and things like that. So this requires another explanation. But there's not as much evidence for those things because they're much older. So, are paintings considered evidence? Are stories? Hard to say. Now, let's skip ahead here because I'm taking too much time. I don't want to do a lot of stuff tonight. 1972, Project Blue Book. So this actually, the only reason why I bring this Project Blue Book thing up, Project Blue Book was when they were trying to, I think, document, like, were UFOs real? The world is trying to understand, are UFOs real? So they send out their best investigator to try to understand the mystery. And he documents all these situations where people saw weird stuff. And ultimately, I think, the world was ultimately not convinced by it. But there's enough there that, something was there. Something's there, but there's not really good evidence for it, pretty much, was how I took this. So this actually connects and says, okay, this whole questioning of the UFO phenomenon was going on in the world public's mindset, or at least in a niche corner of it. And at the same time, Frank Mead is straight up testing Thomas Townsend Brown. He must believe in it. Must. I mean, what's this guy doing? He's rediscovering Thomas Townsend Brown stuff, and he's just all in on it. And he's working on the Air Force. He certainly believes there's a possibility of something major being there. And it's clear what he thought. He thought, maybe there's something else to electromagnetism that connects it to gravity. So, right after that, an ad hoc group with Frank Mead, senior aerospace engineer with the Air Force Aerospace Research Labs, is editor of a technical report on Project Outgrowth at the Air Force Rocket Propulsion Laboratory at Edwards Air Force Base. An entire chapter of the report is devoted to the anti-gravity program, utilizing the concepts of gravitational screens and a unified field theory. Hardware is described as theoretical, but specifies it is worth to determine which materials or metamaterials might change the amplitude and direction of gravitational fields. So, I mean, right there, he was working on a unified field theory. Now, let me keep going. First of all, right after this, you see Hal Puthoff. Hal Puthoff, at the same time, is involved in this. Now, this is something else about Jacques Vallée. We're going to look at a video that's related to Jacques Vallée here. Jacques Vallée states, Hal Puthoff mentioned a former colleague of Puthoff's at the NSA told him a fresh study of UAPs was secretly underway. Puthoff subsequently put Vallée in touch with Howell McConnell in 1973. Puthoff mentioned he met officials in Washington in a position to discover the true state of affairs, quote unquote. Puthoff stated by 1973, he identified the leader of a CIA group, UFO group, that monitored the field. What? Wait. Okay. Yeah, Hal Puthoff is at the top. Hal Puthoff is at the top, chat. Okay, it didn't take very long. It turns out what you just saw there is how I figured that out just a couple days ago. When I was scrolling through that, and I was like, I'm just going to keep reading after this. And I was like, wait, Puthoff's mentioned in the next one? Wait, Puthoff's mentioned in the next one after that too? Wait. Puthoff said Jacques Vallée is just blowing the whistle on Puthoff? Just basically saying that Puthoff went to the government, met with the CIA, says he found the secret UFO group in 1972? This is 10 years before I was born, chat. This is a long time ago. This adds a lot of context. Because now there was the 1985 meeting that Oak Shannon mentioned. Hal Puthoff was there too. Oak Shannon mentioned that meeting and connected this all to Ferris Williams. In fact, I believe we're going to find one in here in a second that shows that Ferris Williams and Frank Mead were directly connected. Hal Puthoff has to be in the fucking program. This whole bullshit, I don't know what's going on with these guys, but there's no way that you just roll up, find the secret UFO program, and then 30 years later, you're writing papers on 0-point energy, wormholes, all this crazy shit. And now you're like a whistleblower in your 90s, but you can't really say anything. This is like if you were the Godfather and you want to talk about the mafia at the end of your days, like, but you can't really say anything. You just want to have like people kind of, bow down to you that are like, I kind of know that you're like cool. That's what's going on. 100%. So here we go. What did I want to go to? Let's go to the other Frank Mead stuff. Okay, 1988. Technical report. Yeah, and so this technical report, the contract is intended to explore the Byfield-Brown effect. This is actually the Franklin Mead study that I think is mentioned in that video we watched last week. The Frank Mead video. This one right here, I can show it because I have it on this computer. Hold on.
Still people who refuse to give up hope.
We know that at some time in the future, it will be possible to control gravity. The real question is when.
Franklin Mead, Advanced Concepts Office, U.S. Air Force.
Ooh, chat. We know it will be possible. We know it will be possible to manipulate gravity. It's just a matter of when. That's what this is referencing right here. This is what it says. Head of Project Outgrowth 16 years earlier. Says down here, study is meaningful. It shows in public domain, Edwards Air Force Base could not recreate the Byfield-Brown effect based on the words of the study. Now, this is where the cover-up comes into play. Something here. Oh, here it is, chat. Are you fucking ready? Woo. Play the music. Oh, I hear the music in my head. Oh, row, fight the power, chat. I'm not even going to say. I'm just going to read. I'm just going to read. Science Applications International Corp, SAIC, 1988, studies electronic propulsion for Edwards Air Force Base, again for Franklin Mead, chief now of the Future Technologies section. According to the SAIC investigator Dennis Cravens, assistant director of Los Alamos for explosive technology research, Ferris Williams was essential to the research. What? Ferris Williams was essential to the research. Oh boy. We got you, motherfuckers. Holy shit, we got you. Woo! Good luck trying to steal the narrative from us because we fucking got you. We found them. Hal Puthoff found the guys, right? Okay, Hal Puthoff found the guys. Well, when I go look at Hal Puthoff's buddies, I got a whole fucking tier list of Hal Puthoff's buddies. And Franklin Mead is way up on the list. Way up on the list. With several other people that we haven't even mentioned yet. So, right there. Now, it says here, SAIC citing Williams suggests a five-dimensional theory could lead to a unified field theory and novel propulsion methods. We know what those novel propulsion methods are. The unified field theory is a 5D theory where you're going to do the felony physics on Friday. And I'm going to go over all of it with you guys. The report, I mean, this is crazy. We're just, again, this guy fucking corrected the thermonuclear weapon calculations. And the Navy admitted he was right. And this guy was essential to Frank Mead's resurrection of Thomas Townsend Brown's anti-gravity work using electrostatics. This is me shrugging. Why do I have to work so hard? I feel like it should just be obvious. Let me just read this next part too. And the report says, no, it didn't work. The rotating cylinder filled with mercury. Rotating cylinder filled with mercury? Could you be more on the note? That's like exactly the Die Glock from the Nazi mythology lore in the UFO stuff. Rotating charged mercury. They said, sorry, it didn't work. Sorry, it didn't work. Don't worry about it. Everybody go away. Academia, don't worry about the electric propulsion study thing that we did. Didn't work. It's not worth your time. Don't worry about the fact that like the guy that corrected the thermonuclear weapons calculations was essential to the work. Don't worry about that. Didn't work. This is where they suppressed it. And it turns out it's relatively easy. All you have to do is have one report say that it doesn't work, but people should study it in the future. Gives you the plausible deniability so that if Ashton Forbes comes out later and says, hey, you totally lied on that report, they're going to go, we didn't lie. Our results were just inconclusive. They didn't really show anything. So we just said it didn't work. And, but somebody should study it in the future. But in reality, these guys know it worked. How do you know that? How do I know that? It's a good question. Because they didn't stop. Guys, when you get proven wrong, like if you test something, a scientist tests something, and you're like, hey, it didn't work, you like give up and go do something else. You're like, okay, well, now it's time to go find the next thing that it might be. That didn't happen. None of these guys stopped. In fact, they went even harder in it. They went even harder after this. So he's like, wait, I'm getting mixed messages here. Are wormholes and like 5D theory possible or no? So it was easy for them to brainwash the masses. All they have to do is put out some ambiguous shit like that, like what it says right here. It says, the report also mentioned anti-gravity was not achieved, but that research should be reconsidered in the future. What? So the debunkers will jump on that. Skeptics will jump on that and go, it's a waste of time. Right? And then they'll meet in their little JSON groups. And they'll go, oh, anybody that was talking too much to the Chinese, which, by the way, I kind of support this, you're going to get put up on a tribunal. You spoke a little bit too much to the Chinese about gravitational waves, which is based on 5D theory. Therefore, it's considered nuclear weapon secrets. So, before I go on, the last thing I'll say is that how are they able to do this? They did this legally. You don't do this illegally and get away for it this long because somebody finally would find out about it and they would blow the whistle on it. They have this all covered legally, and they have it covered legally in a way where if anybody goes against them, they're the ones that goes to jail. How messed up is that? Just think about that for a second. Okay, so I was going to do more on this like history stuff, but that was pretty much what I wanted to show you guys to connect the dots together here, which shows primarily, not conclusively, but pretty good evidence that something has been going on and how Puthoff is connected to it very, very long time ago. He's the guy I've been saying is at the top, and he's connected to the CIA, the DIA. You couldn't have a better resume to be a spook. He's connected to Lou Elizondo, Dan Farah, connected to all these guys. But for me, he gives me the cold shoulder. For me, when I email him, he pretends like he doesn't know about what a wormhole means. Totally normal shit. They're trying to push out their little message and their little shows. So let me play a few clips, and then we're going to get back to, we'll go to Pandolfi here a little bit. So let's start with this one. Where is it? Sorry for the quality on this one. I had to flip while I was on the road. This is Oak Shannon. Oak Shannon was good friends with Ferris Williams. Good friends with Ferris Williams. And let's listen to what he had to say about his good buddy.
And Willie and I both suspected this before he passed on, that the government had taken his theory and produced some devices out of that, because that theory, that 5-dimensional physics theory, and the expanded Maxwell equations say that there is a connection, there is a coupling between electromagnetism and gravitation. And now it's got to be weak, or it's got to be unique in some way, because we'd be levitating people off the floor with our electronic devices. So we know that's not it. We also know that, by the way, the potential for lasers existed in those original Maxwell equations in the 1850s, and they weren't developed until the 1960s because people didn't see that. They couldn't make that connection.
Wow. Holy shit. Okay. So Oak Shannon just goes, hey, Willie as in Ferris Williams. Willie and I both thought that the government took his idea and made devices out of it. And by the way, there is no ambiguity. If you watch the full context, the whole clip is about UFOs. And whether or not, and they even say they saw one in one of these. So he's talking about devices as in UFOs. As in our case, maybe a plasma orb. Because this 5-dimensional theory vastly improves plasma stabilization and understanding of the instabilities in plasma. So right there, you heard it. And then here was the other. I mean, he just doesn't stop there. He says there must be some coupling between electromagnetism and gravity. And the answer is in Maxwell's equations. What did I tell you about 5 minutes ago? I said the 5-dimensional theory adds new terms to Maxwell's equations, adds 2 new equations, because now we have a new dimension. We have a whole new dimension. This gives us the framework for it. He says, how do people not see this? And he says, well, people didn't see the laser either. The laser was written into the equations in the 1860s. But we didn't make the first laser until the 1950s. That's 90 years from when Maxwell's equations were written to when the laser was first understood to be possible. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Let's do, you know what? I'm just going to react to a couple the Elizondo clip then. So here's Elizondo.
That the gravity itself is so severe in these localized regions, what we call black holes, that space and time actually folds in on itself. And that there are ways where you can traverse vast distances within our cosmos without really going very far at all. These concepts are called wormholes, and believe it or not, once again, your taxpayer dollars paid for extensive studies back in the 2011 timeframe at the Pentagon, at the CIA, and some renowned academic institutions that actually was very seriously considering the viability of wormholes and the ability to engineer, if you will, space and time.
Wow. That's the most I've ever seen Elizondo talk about wormholes. He mentioned it on Glenn Beck, and that's why Glenn Beck asked about MH370. But there he is straight up saying that there's the idea, man. The idea is we can manipulate, bend space and time. Now, to hark back to what I mentioned, some people are going, you can't bend space-time. It's not a thing. Guys, chill out. This is the whole thing about, okay, you view it conceptually different. When we're talking about bending space-time, we're just talking about how to explain physical effects, man. You want to say it's something different? That's totally fine. But so what he's saying there is that wormholes are real and we can teleport things. That's a pretty strong encroachment. Pretty strong encroachment on the narrative out there. Now, it doesn't surprise me because technically we are stealing from them. Technically, we have the same sensei. Your sensei, Lou Elizondo, is also my sensei. Hal Puthoff, Eric Davis. They just don't know it. They just don't know it, but they're the ones that taught us as well. They're basically the Jedi and we're the Sith. I have no problem with it. I have no problem with being a Sith, chat. The Jedi got purple hair and shit. I can just feel the wokeness. My superpower goes off when I see the Jedi. Wokeness everywhere. I'm not into it. I'm not into it. If I have to tear down some younglings, I'll just do what I got to do, chat. And if this upsets you, remember, I said, never give me the orbs, chat. Never give me access to those orbs. We would be discombobulating rioters in Minnesota. That shit would have been shut down a long time ago. We would have control over half this planet already. And China and Russia, they'd be peeing their pants, afraid of when the orbs are coming for them. And they are. So, never let me near those orbs, chat. I'm not that guy. I'm just keeping it real with you. This is where I differ from the other UFO people. They're terrified to say their political opinions. Oh, no, I'm going to offend somebody. I'm like, we're talking about weapons that are going to wipe out the whole planet. And you're saying you're afraid to talk about politics? This is the perfect time to bring it up. In fact, these people should never have these weapons. The Gary Nolans of the world, the Ross Coulharts, hell, even the Lou Elizondos. Those people should never have their hand on the trigger. In addition to all of the woke people that exist in the whole world, all of them. In addition to anybody that would blow themselves up so they can get some virgins in heaven or some other weird spiritual or supernatural belief, superstitious belief or whatever. None of those people can ever have this technology. So I'm coming out right now. I am anti-disclosure. There has got to be like the equivalent of an IQ test in order to have access to this technology. Otherwise, you basically are going to be just the lessers. You will remain a primitive. You can still exist on this planet. That's cool. But you got to just burn coal to survive. Sorry, not really that sorry, though. All the rest of us, the high IQ futurists, who aren't going to blow ourselves up and our whole fucking planet because we have a little temper tantrum, we're going to go live in floating castles and shit like that and just lord over you and eat whatever we want to eat with our replicators and our magical technologies. We might just take a visit to Saturn just to see the rings up close. And you're going to live down there in primitive world. Ooga booga. Me rocket go boom. Me shoot big rocket sky. Me so special. And then you will just live in ignorant bliss. You'll wonder what is Sky Castle? How do that? How work? It's magic. We'll just tell you it's just magic. Don't even think about it. Don't worry about it. Here, have some more pornography. Have some more video games. Have some more influencers that just don't really do anything that you can just watch for hours on end. Make you feel comfortable, past the time. There's just got to be two classes of people, I've decided. And I'm sorry if that makes me a space fascist or whatever the hell they're going to call me, 0-point energy Nazi, then so be it. And so be it. Again, I'm not saying we don't have to do a Holocaust here. They don't have to be eliminated. You just have to be separated. Separate but equal. Separate but equal. But not on a racial thing. Just on an ideological basis. On an intellectual basis. I'm pretty sure this is legal. Pretty sure it's all fine. Okay. So, if we can summarize the last hour of this stream, number one, fuck all woke people forever, and no disclosure for anybody. Now, yes, you can have aliens. I forgot to mention this. Yes, I promised you could have every alien you want, and I will never go back on my promises. I will not hear any slander about this. Every alien. Trump is going to announce that aliens are real just to appease all the weirdos and everybody else who's obsessed with aliens. He's going to give them a little W. I don't have any sources. This is just literally the aliens beamed it into my mind. Psychic powers, blah, blah, blah. No, the reality is the writing's on the wall. All these government spooks coming out being like, everybody, please believe aliens are real, guys. Please get ready. Please. They're basically begging you to believe that the aliens are coming. Begging you to believe that the aliens are here. They're only doing this because there's going to be some announcement. And if I know Trump, and I think I know him pretty well, he's going to usurp that announcement. There's no way Trump is letting somebody else get that credit. So if that plan was for like 2030, Trump's going to be like, nah, I'm taking that. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to be the one that says the aliens are real. The people coming from outer space, which I think I have that clip, actually. Hold on. Let me see if I have that one. I'll have to find it. Damn. Joe Rogan, Trump. No, I don't have it. Okay. So, sorry, I got sidetracked here. Let's get back to the task at hand here. Let's go to this document, this video. So somebody pointed me to this video here called, what is it called again? The CIA puppet master playing both sides of the UFO psyop. Valet was right. Okay. Who do you guys think this person is talking about? Jason Samosa. We'll give you a subscribe here. Any guesses in the chat as to who he's talking about here? 3-part series about Jack Valet. So basically, this guy read Jack Valet's books and just read those quotes. So actually, the quote that we saw from that document, I think, is from one of these books right here. And so this guy read the books and he just read the quotes and he's like, wait a minute. Jack Valet was just telling the truth. Jack Valet is just writing books that nobody really understood the significance of back in the 70s or whatever, of what was happening. Writing books about how this all went down, how Pudov, he might even have set up this whole legacy program that's going on. Like, if we're looking for a criminal, we've got a murder and we're looking for a criminal. First thing you do is you go look at their relatives, their friends, people they're affiliated with. Well, when I'm going to look for the legacy program, very first person I'm going to go look for is the guy that says he found the head of the legacy program in the CIA. That guy is either in it or he knows who is. Doesn't take a lot to figure that out. Now, it's Ron Pandolfi. It's fucking Ron Pandolfi. Every single damn time, it's Ron freaking Pandolfi. Every time. So what does he have to say about our boy Ron Pandolfi? I got to go to the transcript because I messed up here. And he spells it wrong a couple times. This Pandolfi. Okay, here we go.
And even dipping back into 3. All of this centers around the identity of one of the most mysterious individuals associated with the world of ufology, and that is the legendary Dr. Ronald Pandolfi. By examining the role of Pandolfi, we'll be able to better understand how UFO secrecy works and the methods and techniques being deployed today, even right now, in the UFO disclosure community. Have you ever asked yourself, why is it that the UFO disclosure movement is such a mess? Why is it that everyone is bickering and infighting? Well, I think by examining the information we have in today's episode, we may get closer to answering that question.
Okay, random guy that I just learned about, Jason Samosa. Okay, I'm with you, Jason Samosa. Let's skip ahead a little bit. Man, this guy did what I always wanted to do, which is just straight up found Pandolfi, huh? Okay, let's find some more Pandolfi here. Okay, let's see. This is what I want. Oh, they spelled it wrong a million times. Okay. Okay, I think this is the part I wanted to listen to. Or it's like right after this, maybe.
On UFOs. The reason Pandolfi called him is because Maccabee had actually given a lecture at the CIA on some of the topics of his research on UFOs. And Pandolfi decided, well, we'll just get him to give that talk and that spiel to Clinton's White House and to his science advisor, which is what happened. Can you imagine being the president of the United States and you're not even getting a CIA employee to come in and have a conversation with you? You're getting Bruce Maccabee, who's going to openly acknowledge, yeah, this is just a talk that I put together. I gave it at the CIA once, and I was asked to come in and give you the same talk. Especially when we take into consideration how many UFO files were available at the Weird Desk. There are multiple sources who have used the number 15,000 files that were associated.
So I think what he's saying here is that Pandolfi threw the meeting with Clinton. Clinton wanted to get a briefing on the UFO stuff, and Pandolfi basically made it look like it was like not professional at all, that it was like all a joke. And this is really interesting because my interactions with Pandolfi, he's just not a good liar. Like when people are caught in lies, a lot of times one of the most common reactions is to get angry, to get mad, you know? And with Pandolfi, it feels like the guy's lived so many lies in his whole life that anything you say to him that challenges him at all forces him to have a meltdown. Hostile, angry. You're like, dude, what? You're like, you wouldn't be angry about this unless it was true, you know? So the thing I agree with him on, though, that gets mentioned here is that Pandolfi didn't trust the Clinton administration and potentially didn't trust Biden, maybe didn't even trust Obama. Who knows? But this is significant because I don't trust any of these people either. And the more I think about it, I would never give Joe Biden access to this technology. Maybe they didn't have access to it. Maybe that's why we didn't do more in the various wars and things that were going on in the world. Maybe we just don't let the retards even know that we have this technology. No offense to people with Down syndrome people. I'm sorry that I compared you to liberals. That's very offensive of me. So maybe they have been just gatekeeping it, waiting for somebody that they know has the right mentality to take advantage of this. Why? Because if you look at this, you realize you have to be kind of ruthless in order to wield this technology. You cannot just give this to China. You can't just give this to Russia. You can't give this to any of our adversaries. And you got to take people out with it. And it's going to be morally questionable. Simple as that. It's going to be morally questionable. There's no two ways about it. Obama probably rolled with it. Maybe that's why he did the operation. He was fine with us drone striking a bunch of people. So I don't think he was really losing too much sleep about it. Okay, let's go to another segment here. I think he says more in a couple minutes. Sorry, I didn't write all the timestamps down on this one. Where was my transcript? Pandolfi, or there's 75 occasions. Hold on. Okay, here's where he talks about not briefing them. Here we go.
Time. And as we're going to see, Dr. Pandolfi was and continues to be very interested in the UFO topic, but he chose not to brief Bill Clinton. And this is a huge deal, and I want to be very clear about why that is. The reason it's big is because the president of the United States is supposed to call the shots on everything. And this little bit of law exposes to us how the world really works. Because Pandolfi didn't face any consequences for this. He simply continued to do what he was doing. And Bill Clinton, for whatever reason, wasn't able to push him. That is incredibly interesting.
And I did attempt to find out if there were any secret government documents that reveal things, and if there were, they were concealed from me too. I wouldn't be the first president that underlings have lied to or that career bureaucrats have waited out. But there may be some career person sitting around somewhere hiding these dark secrets, even from elected presidents. But if so, they successfully.
Wow. So again, let's just, for the sake of argument, just for today, Let's assume that what everybody except for Ron Pandolfi, he's a fucking liar for sure. Everybody except for him, let's assume they're telling the truth. This would mean Bill Clinton got blocked, possibly by Ron Pandolfi himself. Ron Pandolfi might be way up on the list of people that were in this program. Because again, what is the program? It's a collaboration between the Department of Energy, who controls fusion, who solved fusion for sure, the Air Force with their Air Force supremacy and their Air Force Gorgon Stare technology, the defense contractors who we pay their money and they do our bidding, build us some magical shit, technology, their surveillance, plasma orbs, whatever. And then at the top, the CIA, bringing it all together. Who's the one that plans the operation, pulls the assets in? The CIA. Just like I said before, we don't even necessarily need to look for another group. Who is the ones that planned an operation on a civilian airliner, that deployed fusion plasma orbs, that were surveilling it from above with an MQ-9 Reaper drone, that decided that we had to pull an operation to protect technology from going to China? Everything about the MH370 story leads back to these same exact people. The program, which is really just a buzzword for the deep state. Boom, boom, boom. That's the other big reveal tonight, chat. No build up. There it is. I think the program is the deep state. They would be the ones that have the money, the knowledge, the access, the technology to subtly control the movements of what's happening and how people think, which companies are successful, which presidents get elected. Did you know Vannevar Bush was one of the people that was connected to potentially being in the MJ-12 or whatever it is? John Trump got Tesla's paper, so he potentially knew about this technology. What do you think the odds are of these people's family members all getting in the CIA and the government and becoming presidents back to back? And then just happens like they happen to know about this technology. The deep state, the ones that control the world behind the scenes, could very well be the program. So, our job, simple. Expose all of them while revealing their secrets, their nuclear weapons secrets, their energy sources, their wormholes, their warp drives, everything, their surveillance capabilities, until they tell the truth about what they did to that plane. But now, one more point I'd like to make. Now we understand, because, again, we're just playing pretend here for a second. If this is all true, if what I just said, if the program is the one responsible for MH370, the DOE, the Air Force, the CIA, and the defense contractors, how would they act if someone were to find some leaked videos and expose them? I think you could argue they would act exactly as they've been acting towards me and the MH370 videos. Ignore them, deny them, have all of their agents out there, ignore them, don't talk to that person, never bring them up, never even mention the videos. We can and have used this to tell who's on what side. You can't trust Jeremy Corbell, period. There is no way that guy can be trusted. Ross Coulthart, no chance. Either Ross Coulthart's sources are garbage or that guy's a useful idiot. Right? Okay, let me go back to this. So next Pandolfi. So he blocked Clinton. So he starts reading through Vallet's notes.
Where Dr. Jacques Vallée comes in, because it's through his journals, through Forbidden Science volumes 3, 4, 5, and even into 6, where we can build a more coherent picture of exactly what Dr. Ronald Pandolfi was really doing. And as we do it, a picture comes into focus of an individual who was relentlessly trying to stop UFO disclosure and to keep a lid on UFO secrecy.
So, just this guy's opinion. He's saying this guy wasn't trying to cover this stuff up. My own personal reactions, all he does related to the UFO anti-gravity, just call everybody kooks, say that it's all fake, say that everybody's a mental case. That's like his three guys. Classic. It's actually not even classic. Like, it's kind of sad. It's a little outdated. It's very boomerish gaslighting that the CIA developed. Like, he didn't get the updates on how to be more realistic. That's not how somebody who's a physicist that's interested in anti-gravity would ever talk. And this is another tell. When people that claim to be interested in research something are always putting it down, they're not really, something doesn't give, right? If you really thought it was all fake, you wouldn't spend your life researching it. Right? You wouldn't waste your time. This is the tell. Pandolfi, he spent his whole life in anti-gravity, UFO research, gravitational waves, bringing people. Why would you bring somebody up on a tribunal about gravitational waves if you didn't think they were real? Before they were detected by LIGO, by the way. Ronald Pandolfi brought Robert Bob M.L. Baker on tribunal to the Jasons because he spoke too much to China about gravitational waves. Well before gravitational waves were confirmed. Why would you do that unless you knew they were real? So let's keep going here.
Dr. Vallée's first interaction with Dr. Pandolfi can be traced all the way back to 1989. In his journals, he simply writes, "A new name has come up. Dr. Ron Pandolfi at CIA is one of the technical people who were involved in all of this. Kit and he have compared notes." As Vallée would get more and more acquainted with what Dr. Pandolfi was doing, he would have serious questions. And he had the perfect person to ask those questions to. One of his closest colleagues was Dr. Christopher Kit Green from the CIA, the same Kit Green that we mentioned earlier. This is the individual who hired Dr. Ronald Pandolfi to run the Weird Desk and maintained a close relationship with him afterwards still. Here's Vallée asking Kit Green important questions about Pandolfi. Is Pandolfi fooling around with the crazies? Why? There's real data he could get if he wanted to, I insinuated. Kit's answer surprised me. He gets the most real data there is. The chief science advisor to the French project came to see him secretly, the guy who oversees GPAN. The British Ministry of Defence's chief scientist also spent 2 days with him. He gets all their data.
Okay. Okay. Holy shit, chat. This is gonna be fucking fun. This is going to be fun. I didn't realize that we were in presence of fucking royalty. Ron Pandolfi? Why are you downplaying your significance, Ron? Bro, I just wanted to be friends. I just wanted to be clear that I always just wanted to be friends, bro. I just wanted to be friends, but you were just mean to me. Tried to bully me. I'm just... shit. Oh, damn it. I didn't have it ready to go. Okay. I had a joke right there. Oh, I'm just a wholesome chungus, Ron Pandolfi. I'm just a wholesome chungus that wanted to talk to a cool CIA officer that maybe ran some black operations, but you weren't interested. You weren't interested in this wholesome little chungus. Instead, you wanted to be a bitch. You wanted to do it the hard way. You said, Ashton, hold on. I want to get a direct quote. Let me get a direct quote. And if you believe this is fake, then you just don't follow me enough. Here we go. Where is it? Hi, Ashton. Actually, the odds that you will win are less than 1 in, that looks like 1 billion. And that's a high estimate. Hi, Ashton. Actually, the odds that you will win are less than 1 in 1 billion, and that's a high estimate. Oh, poor Ron. Why you got to be so mean to me? Okay. That sounds like a challenge, bro. You know what? This is a big question. How many of these program people do you think we can identify? How many do you think we can figure out? The CIA ones will be the most difficult. The defense contractors will also be pretty difficult because we've learned they're not really supposed to talk about who they are. But I bet we've already found a bunch. And I bet based on now digging through some of this history, we can probably identify a significant amount. Maybe that will be our next tier list. Okay, there's a few more quotes in here that I wanted to try to find.
Valet then comments privately to the reader, still, that CIA office may be only the tip of a very strange iceberg. Kit Green begins to speak once more. The phenomenon is not ultra-dimensional or psychic, Kit went on. It's not amenable to traditional analysis, but it's not to know what the system is or how it's managed. Valet then notes, there were so many contradictions in that statement that I didn't even try. UFOs are just another enigma, as there are so many in our field, rich and superficial technical data. A passport until 2 weeks ago, both individuals. All. Pandolfi is going to Brazil.
Where was that other quote? Here we go.
Get the most.
Hal called me because Pandolfi wanted him to get the most interesting incident he knew of. So Hal and Pandolfi are buddy. Like, that's how you talk to somebody that you work with, right? So now we look at this and we go, okay, I've been saying Hal Puthoff is numero uno, but this means Pandolfi is really, really high on the list. And he is like just in the CIA. And people have said that he's some legendary spook that nobody knows about either. So he's way up there. We also know about Glenn Gaffney, although that was much later. So we will also potentially try to figure out who they've been handing this down to. There must be some progression, handing down of the torch, so to speak, to the next generation that's involved in this. So we'll try to identify as many as we can. Let me skip ahead here. I think it's later on where he talks about this. Here we go. I can't remember what it is, so I'm just going to go through a couple more here.
Is going down to Brazil, and he is asking about specific UFO cases that have happened down there. What does all of this mean? Well, I think you can probably fill in the blanks. It looks like Dr. Pandolfi is genuinely interested in this topic, but for some reason, that being said out in the open isn't a good thing. There is something about what Dr. Pandolfi is doing which appears to be sensitive and which can't be shared with people who he doesn't have a close relationship with. All the more interesting is another entry which stirs the pot even further. In 1995, Bob Bigelow would set up the National Institute for Discovery Science.
So that also, I mean, am I going crazy? Because that sounds like to me, they're saying that Ron Pandolfi is part of this program. He can't be talked about. At a bare minimum, he knows about this program. And like I said before, I don't think there's any way you even disconnect this program from what happened to MH370. I mean, teleporting a plane in a wormhole is literally what all these different shell companies, which, by the way, this is what I think they're doing. To the Stars Academy, there's been like 5 different versions of these companies they've made. And it's all the same people, including Hal Puthoff every time. These are literal shell companies the government is setting up to disseminate this information under their control so that people like me can't control the narrative that comes out. Partially for good reasons and partially for self-serving reasons. Part reasons they don't want crazy people to grab a hold of the narrative and start making cults and shit like that. The other part of it is they want to make sure that only information that our adversaries can't take advantage of gets disseminated. That's the part where it starts to get a little morally ambiguous on our part.
On the board were all the familiar faces of modern ufology. You had Dr. Valet, you had Hal Puthoff, you had Dr. Kit Green, other individuals whose name recur all throughout the journals going up to the modern day. And as part of this, they were already making contact with witnesses, with experience.
Where's
He'd heard that a new group had been.
Yeah, so I found I don't know where it is in here, but somewhere in here. Oh, I can find it. Here we go. Oh, it was about to come here. Oh, here it is. Yep. We were like 1 minute away from it. I knew it was somewhere around here. Listen to this.
Funding that it included Kit Green, Hal Puthoff, Dean Judd, Major Macduff, John Peterson, and me. And it had links to CIA Director Woolsey and to E-Systems. That Bob Lazar was working with it through a project involving Hal, Bob Wood, and his son Ryan. That John Alexander and Ron Pandolfi were once considered to run the group, but had been excused. That the goal was propulsion technology, and that it was all upfront financed by the government.
Holy fucking shit. Wow. Okay. They're cooked. They're cooked. If I lose my job, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go full Nick Shirley, and I'm going to go find these people's companies that are just going to be empty fucking buildings that nobody works at. And I'm going to film myself out there and go, why is Hal Puthoff getting $50 million a year and his fucking company is empty and there's nobody ever there? Like, oh, maybe they're doing some sketchy ass shit and they're not actually at their companies. And Hal, that's not even a good example. The better example is what the UFOologists have been crushing, this To the Stars Academy. Where's all the funding for all this stuff coming from? Coming, what, indirectly from hidden sources for all this? Ron Pandolfi was once considered to run the group. What they were talking about there were these little groups that they set up that Hal Puthoff has been connected with. They had that Kona Blue. They were talking about the Bigelow set up the ASOP or whatever, all these ASOP, ATIP, all these different programs. And now you're wondering, wait a minute, are these even really private programs? Or are these programs that are just basically shell corporations and companies and programs that are set up to do research for the government? What's really going on here? Why would Ron Pandolfi, legendary CIA guy, be considered to run this group? I thought this guy debunks anti-gravity stuff, but you want him to run this organization? In addition to John Alexander was also mentioned. So that was the big quote that I wanted to find. I think there's something else much later on. Let me just do one more search. Down here. Okay, let's listen to like one more minute here.
Firmage to establish this vision and failed, and then used DeLong and his group to try and do it later. Is this the latest iteration of Dr. Pandolfi's fly trap in order to catch all of us as we seek out the truth, only to be drawn into a program and a mechanism designed to deceive? I can totally understand why individuals who look at this data may think, case closed, we have the links here between these organizations and Dr. Pandolfi, and we can totally discredit TTSA off the back of this. But I actually had a conversation with Joseph Firmage, and I asked him the question, why would an organization be called this? What was your...
So, I don't know. This guy goes too much into like the why they called the organization. This one organization was similar to the previous organization. Who cares why the hell they called it the organization? That doesn't make a difference whether or not it's a front company for the CIA. Clearly it is, in my opinion, but you know, I don't know. I'm a little too quick on the jump on that one. So let's close this. What did we learn there for tonight? We shouldn't underestimate ourselves. We might have already nabbed a couple of the top people that are in this program. It explains why they've been acting so weird towards me when their whole lives have been dedicated to what we see in the MH370 videos. CIA, fusion technology, advanced propulsion, anti-gravity technology. Not really, but that's what they're calling it. And a wormhole. All the stuff that Ron Pandolfi spent his life dedicated to, and a covert operation. And yet, they don't want to talk to me, and they're scared about what they say. Very careful about what they say to me. In fact, Ron Pandolfi, I asked him some other questions. He won't answer anything else that's not like a direct attack. So we may have identified a couple of the people in this program. Now let's switch gears here, a little less serious, but still pretty serious. This interview with Dan Farah and Bill Maher. Now, I got to crash out about this too. This interview was essentially the interview that I should have done with Bill Maher. In fact, a lot of the stuff they discuss is exactly what I would have said. And people have said, Ashton, you should just be happy for these people, happy that they're pushing the ball forward. Hell no. What did I just tell you? I'm Darth fucking Vader, and I'm coming for the younglings. There ain't going to be any disclosure unless it includes the MH370 videos. There will be no, oh yeah, wormholes are real, but those videos of that operation, don't worry, that's not real. We're gonna find that plane. We're gonna find that plane one day. Ashton Forbes is gonna look silly when we find that plane in 50 years. They'll get me one day, chat. They'll get me. So this interview was all about what I would have asked. And I want to go through some of the parts because the truth of this is Dan Farah is a bitch. It's just a fact. It is what it is. I don't hate him. I have nothing personal against him. He's just encroaching clearly on my territory, stealing my narratives, and he pre-blocked me. Before he did all this, before he even made his movie, I was talking about all this, and he blocked me, pre-blocked me. He had the production studio's Twitter account block me, which clearly was him, right? I mean, it's not like some random person with the studio was like, hey, we're going to block this Ashton guy. So what the fuck is going on here? That's not what you do when you're then going to go say exactly what that person is saying. Normal person would be like, hey, I want to talk to you. You're talking about the same stuff I'm talking about. Maybe we can bounce ideas off each other. Not, hey, I'm not going to talk to you and ignore you and whatever. Okay. So that's the reason why I'm going to talk smack about him. Now, let's start 5 minutes in here about UFO. We might have to skip a few of these. We're going to run out of time, but
not helpful.
It's
unhelpful.
There's two valid reasons. So one of the
here we go.
Old UFO, huh?
Yeah,
that really changed things a lot when they made that change, huh?
Yeah, I think it helps. I mean, I really do.
Really?
Yeah. So
why?
One of the guys I interviewed.
Right there. This is actually the perfect litmus test to find out if somebody is woke disclosure. I love tests that people self-identify. I'm not a racist. I'm not a bigot. I'll call somebody a Nazi if they call themselves a Nazi. I will call somebody woke disclosure if they call themselves woke disclosure. It's very simple. If you use the term UAP, then you are woke disclosure. Simple as that. Look at how easy. I love simple things. It's always been UFOs. It's always going to be UFOs. And stop trying to make UAPs happen. UAPs isn't going to happen. Simple as that. And you say, but the people, there's so much stigmas. The stigmas around the UFOs. They don't want to believe it. No. No more redefining words. No more of this, we're going to make a new term up for that. We don't like cold fusion because we debunked that and said it's anti-science. So now we're going to call it low energy nuclear reactions. No, it was always cold fusion, and it's always going to be cold fusion. And it's always going to be UFOs. And I am never going to say UAP unless it's to dunk on the people that use that acronym. Unidentified aerial. Okay, tell us why, Dan Farah, woke DEI Timu Ashton.
Reviewed.
Unidentified flying object. Unidentified aerial phenomenon?
Unidentified. It stands for unidentified anomalous phenomena.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Okay.
It's a UFO. And we got used to UFO, and it's the same thing, and you're just confusing people.
Well, here's
it's
the
not
two
helpful. It's unhelpful.
There's two valid reasons.
I can't believe I'm saying these words. I agree with Bill Maher. Wow. This would have been an amazing one-on-one. Yeah, Bill Maher's in the chat. I'm wondering, like, is Bill Maher did they replace Bill Maher? Like, when Bill Maher visited Trump, he kind of came back different. Like, maybe they pod personed him. That's a conspiracy theory for the Democrats. I gave you a free one there. That's kind of your speed, your intellectual prowess. Maybe Bill Maher's a pod person.
So one of the guys I interviewed, Jay Stratton.
No. You stop right there. You stop right there. Jay Stratton, No bueno. Okay, I'll let him keep talking.
Intelligence official. He found that when he would bring up UFOs in certain rooms, it led to this giggle factor. And there's a stigma around that word. So UAP allows it to be looked at differently. Also, a lot of the activity is happening in our oceans, and these things aren't flying. Like UFO stands for flying.
All right, fine.
So there you go.
Take it.
Yeah.
Literally, the gayest response I've ever heard. I can't. If that's what was going to give us disclosure, I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want any of what you're selling. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's going to free humanity. I don't trust you. I don't like you. I just don't see eye to eye with you. I don't really know how else to put it. You're off-putting. You rub me the wrong way. Oh, my buddy Jay Stratton said that the UAP word makes people giggle. Dude, get out. It's always been UFOs, my friends, and it always will be UFOs. Anyway, let's get to something a little more serious. This was something I never, ever, ever expected.
At a really rapid pace over the last 80 years, but our morals haven't, right?
Right.
We're still invading sovereign nations. We're still threatening nuclear war.
Right.
We're a violent species.
They may be in the process of deciding.
And so the point a lot of the people in my film make is that we're kind of like barreling towards a crossroads where we're reaching the point of either already being able to do what they do, or soon being able to do what they do. And at that
we're at a crossroads of soon being able to do what they do. This speaks to this idea of the singularity that we've been talking about. This is coming out one way or another. I think the tipping point is going to be AI, because we need fusion for AI, and AI is going to start doing what I've been doing. It's going to start spitting the facts out. And people are going to start arguing with the AI that the AI is wrong. The AI is like, nope, it's not. Here you go. Go build a Jarvis orb. Here's the 3D printing of it. But listen to Bill Maher here. Never would have expected this response from Bill Maher. Wild.
At that point, they would have to contend with us, and we're a violent species. And so it kind of puts a lot in perspective. And I think one of the takeaways a lot of people told me they had from the film is, man, humanity's really got to get their shit together and, kind of come together on this, because we're all in this situation together.
Hold on. A couple of minutes, I hit the wrong part here, but I want to bring up this other point. It's a good one, actually. Get ready for some knowledge drop. Thought experiment for you all. Keep you stimulated. Imagine that we have technology so powerful that it essentially is the equivalent of anyone on this planet on their phone having a button that could destroy the whole planet. I think you would all agree that we would not last 5 seconds. We would not last 5 seconds before that button got pressed by somebody and wiped us all out. But imagine if we were powerful enough, if we were able to get past that filter, if our civilization, if we could say, we are a type of civilization, we could say, nope, the planet will not get destroyed. I have that much trust and faith in my fellow humans. Imagine what power we would unlock. Teleportation, replicators, wormholes. The point is this. Everybody is wrong about aliens. Super wrong. Hilariously, laughably wrong about aliens. Aliens aren't a little wholesome Chungus E.T. Hey, I'm an E.T. Aliens have passed the filter in which any one of their species could destroy all of them, reset their whole civilization with just the push of one button. Imagine what it takes from a species to get past that filter. We may have failed to get past that filter dozens of times already in our civilization. We might be a very old species that just has amnesia. Point is this: the aliens are going to be way more exotic than what we imagine, possibly hybridized with machine, or possibly a machine intelligence, or possibly a cosmic intelligence. They're going to be way more capable than what we've been giving them credit for. The aliens are going to be invisible at will. They're going to be able to teleport in instantaneously and appear out of nowhere. And there's going to be absolutely nothing conventional physics and capabilities will be able to do. Humanity will basically be like the Cuban guards guarding Maduro with their eyes bleeding out, being demoralized because we're shooting pea shooters at things that have force fields. Their ships are going to have force fields, and we're going to be shooting guns at them, and the bullets are just going to drop to the ground. So do you understand the situation here? Aliens are not going to be the wholesome chungus. When the aliens roll up, it's game over. We better pray to hell they never roll up. And this is what I wanted to segue this to. This is how we take the narrative back, by the way. We tell them the true reality of the situation, which is what I'm doing for you right now. We aren't developing teleportation weapons to fight humans. You don't need a fucking teleportation weapon to defeat China. We don't need all that. Who are we developing these spinning orbs, teleporting plane weapons to fight against? If you believe, like we said we're going to do today, that these people are all telling the truth, that means we got this technology by reverse engineering UFOs, some other craft from the future, craft from the past, craft that we dug up, or something that crashed. We found it, we saw it, and we were like, whoa, this is crazy. How does this work? And that technology has been bleeding to humanity for the last 80 years in the form of probably every advanced technology we have, culminating in shit like this. A computer that's smaller than my hand, that's more powerful than any computer that existed in the 90s. Culminating in that. So are we developing, if this is true, are we developing this weaponry to fight against aliens that have super crazy advanced teleportation weapons so that we can fight against that? I just throw that out there for you guys to think about. Because we may have used this to send a message to China, but I don't think we're developing Harry Potter shit to fight humans. That seems like overkill to me. We can just hit them with a sonic weapon like we did in Venezuela. You break out the teleportation magical AI Jarvis orbs when you got to go to war with a species that can just instantly appear out of nowhere. When they're just bringing magic, you got to bring the magic back to them. So, okay. That was just what I wanted to rant on there. Now, listen to what Bill Maher says here, 13 minutes into this. They talk about the nukes triggering the aliens. And Bill Maher brings up that great point that I mentioned. He says, it seems like these aliens just appeared after nukes started going off. And the prevailing narrative they're trying to get us to believe is that the nukes are interrupting the aliens, which it could be. If nukes are manipulating space-time, manipulating the ether, the 5D lattice of our reality, then the aliens would probably be pissed off. It's like throwing, a big tree in the middle of the road. Hey, bro, I'm trying to drive over here. You know what I'm saying? But the alternative theory that has not been posed is, what if the UFOs are nuclear weapons? What if the plasma orbs that we see in these triangle formations, what if that's the non-fission trigger, a drone, a non-fission trigger for a thermonuclear payload? We have to consider it.
That's when they started monitoring us. The thing that the people I interviewed are more concerned about than possible intentions of non-human intelligent life is what would happen if an adversary cracked this technology before we did and used it for bad. Because this technology has the potential to revolutionize the way we live and change things for the better. It could be the solution to the energy crisis. It could lead to interstellar travel. A lot of technological breakthroughs could come off the back of it that could be great for us, but it could also be used as the most terrifying weapon of mass destruction. You could instantaneously deliver a nuclear weapon to the other side of the planet.
Yeah, I mean,
No, you fucking did not just say that. No, you did not just say that, Dan Farah. You don't get to say that word, warp nuke. That's our word. Credit to Star Captain Dread. 2 years ago, after we came up with this wormholes are actually real, blows your mind, blah, 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 Star Captain Dread said it's a warp nuke because you can warp a nuke anywhere you want. No response time. Are you kidding me? Dan Farah in the 2026 is coming out here and just straight up stealing that idea, that concept, and presenting it to Bill Maher on this far left, blue-pilled, libtarded podcast. Holy shit. But the point being, he also brings up, we can't let it be known because our adversaries could get it. This is the reason for the suppression, the legal reason. The legal reason that justifies covering it up is that we can't let our adversaries get it. Therefore, it's national security. Therefore, that means our public also doesn't get it. When China and Russia have it, then we'll let the noobs and the peasants maybe have the nerfed version of it, basically. Or when we have to beat China and Russia, which is what we have to do now with fusion, because, hey, they also know now. Okay. Now, listen to what he says right here. Listen to Bill Maher's response on the tipping point.
maybe the tipping point is fusion. I mean, we
Whoa! Bro, what? Bro, what? Where did that come from? Where did Bill Maher, out of left field, suddenly say maybe the tipping point is fusion? Yeah, that's exactly the tipping point. Not you just accidentally hit a bullseye, Bill. How'd you do that? That's like the drunk dude at the bar just randomly throwing the dart and it just bullseye. You're like, bro, what did you just have? Drunken superpowers? How many blunts did you smoke? How many marijuana did you inject before this? Because you just blacked out and said the right thing, Bill Maher. Bravo. Bravo. Yes, the tipping point is fusion. Why? Because what's the energy source for your UFO? If you look at the scaling of energy sources for what gets the most bang for your buck, fusion is at the top of the list, even above nuclear fission. It's even more bang for your buck than nuclear fission. Fusion's at the top. And we need fusion for our AI data centers that we're building. So let's let Bill Maher continue his thought.
We've learned how to split the atom. That's nuclear. But that's not really where the gold is. The gold is in fusion, which they're getting closer. Fusion.
I'm sorry, Bill. I was not familiar with your games, sir. I didn't know you knew this much about fusion. Did somebody coach him? How did he know all this?
Fusion is the opposite. We're putting them together at temperatures that are hotter than the sun. So the challenge is not just doing that. They seem to be able to do that. But then how do you channel that? Like, how do you not, whatever's holding this energy, how do you not melt that thing? You know?
Whoa. Hold up. I have my hand up. Can I answer the question, sir? May I answer your question? Yeah, so you might want to learn about this guy named Boussard. and his Polywell fusion device, because he specifically calls this out. He says we can use an electrostatic potential, basically Thomas Townsend Brown's negative and positive, and the plasma itself will be negatively biased in a certain region around our magnets. So there's going to be a well of negative charge, and that will act as our cathode or our anode that won't melt because it is the plasma. It's a virtual cathode, because to your point, how do you prevent things from melting when you're 300 million degrees? There you go. The plasma itself must be the thing that's carrying the charge, because and nothing else will last. So we need our plasma to be in a geometric shape which is conducive to fusion. Well, can you think of any geometric unification theories that we could use for this? Oh, the whole live stream. Ferris Williams 5D theory. Boom.
No. So plainly, the aliens have this.
Yeah.
I mean, they have something that we don't have.
An energy source that we haven't realized.
Yes, that allows them. I mean, all the witnesses pretty much say some variation of, the thing can hover for 3 hours and then just move at speeds we've never seen before.
Yeah.
Or go, as you say, in the ocean without losing any speed. There seems to be no element of friction there.
Yeah. What is the energy source? Oh, obviously it's fusion. I mean, obviously it's just fusion, right? But it's not just fusion, is it, chat? No. They walked so we could run. It's aneutronic fusion, directed energy conversion. It turns out there's 3 and only 3 fuel sources that can be used with your hydrogen that don't release neutrons, or release so few neutrons as to be basically safe. You can just be around the reactor. Isn't that amazing? It turns out there's just 3 fuels that are the magical fuels that suddenly your nuclear reactor that boils steam to give you energy now becomes a fusion reactor that produces electricity directly. No steam, no bins of water. You would ask, what the hell? Where's that been my whole life? How come nobody's mentioned that we can do direct energy conversion? Why has nobody ever mentioned in my whole life? Why would I go through all of school and college and nobody ever mentioned what the hell directed energy conversion meant? That's a really, really good question. Because we literally see this in the movies. We see our power and electricity being represented as directed energy conversion, but the reality is all of our power is steam. And it's 3 times less efficient, minimum. What is really going on when it comes to energy on planet Earth? Okay, let's skip ahead a little bit. One more quick point he brings up here about Trump. If I skip ahead to 15 here.
An entire marketplace that has driven the world for years.
I'll say this for the Trump's move into Venezuela. I mean, I don't totally hate it. Some of it I do hate. But to the aliens who are worried that we are getting too advanced, I'm sure that was very reassuring. Not this guy. This guy's still thinking about oil and still thinking about, stuff like whatever he's thinking about. It's not. What do you think?
Wrong, Bill Maher, wrong. This is where God, Bill, why was I not the guest? And you can even see, even Dan Farah was feeling awkward there, because Dan Farah even knows that Trump knows. Bill Maher thinks that Trump is obsessed with oil. I would be like, hey, have you checked the news about a stock whose stock ticker is DJT? Stands for Donald J. Trump. You might want to check that stock ticker's news recently. Turns out they happen to merge with the oldest fusion company to exist that's been working with the DOE since 1998. Tri-Alpha Energy, TAE, as you see in the chat right there. Tri-Alpha Energy, huge fusion company, just merged with Donald Trump's company. You think he cares about oil? You think he thinks oil is the future? By the way, $6 billion merger, BTW. Okay.
What do you think Donald Trump knows about?
So I think he's become very aware of the situation in the last few months. And I think he, behind the scenes, is pursuing the truth about the things he is in the dark on. I hope that he...
This motherfucker just literally like ripped the script straight off from me on this interview. Says pretty much everything I would have said, except for I would clearly not have said it in such a gay way, right? Yeah, I think he's very well. Trump fucking knows. Marco Rubio knows. He's saying that we got weapons that nobody understands, nobody's ever seen before, that's discombobulating people, making people bleed out of their eyes. Maybe people lose their morale so they never want to fight the United States of America again. Yeah, he's kind of saying, oh, also, Michael Kratsios is saying that we have ability to manipulate space and time, leave distance annihilated. How much more clear can it be? How can you possibly think that Trump doesn't know? This is the part where earlier today, I said Trump is going to disclose aliens, writings on the wall. All the aliens you could want, we're going to have them. Because it doesn't matter. Might as well. And I didn't notice, but a report came out. Maybe it even predates my post. I just didn't see it. That somebody is saying that Trump, the speech has already been written. Speech has already been written for Trump to disclose aliens. This is going to happen in June or something like that. I don't really care. I'm going to say this. I don't think the speech is already written. I don't think there's a date planned. I do think, I'm doubling down, Trump is going to announce that aliens are real. NASA already announced there's life on Mars, and nobody even batted an eye. So, yes, he's going to announce it. Probably isn't even going to be that big of a deal. Most people are going to move on with their life the next day. Okay, next thing here. I want to show this part about global warming. Can you believe it? They talk about global warming. You know it's going to be good, guys. I think this is it, somewhere around here.
You know what? You can always convince a certain number of people.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is where it's going to go, and I feel like the big thing is going to be the Spielberg movie.
Everyone I interviewed was really clear with me that it's not a question as to whether this is real. We're way past that. Every single person I interviewed made that very clear. Their educated opinion was we are way, way past that. Now the question is, where are they from? And I heard,
where's the global warming thing?
You know, movies have a unique power to open people's eyes.
That there are so many movies about post-apocalyptic, or the great Spielberg movie.
I don't remember. I thought he said something about global warming there, but I don't care that much. Okay, here we go. Let's go here.
I feel like
you gotta do a binge.
I feel like your interest in this topic.
You gotta do a new
binge. See, I'm just looking as a
now that you've watched this doc, you got to do a binge. Yeah.
Okay, but in that one, I remember there was just a lot of the aliens writing in this big curlicue language on a screen, and it was like it didn't look like anything we've ever talking about this. What's the somehow?
Here we go. Let's get back to
basically ranked. They were tasked with debating and then applying a number to the impact. So on a scale of 1 to 10, like 10 being a bad impact, too much impact.
I'm not even going to play this just because of my copyright strike me. I'm just going to tell you, he is now telling the Puthoff story, the same story that Puthoff told on Joe Rogan. In fact, I made this story famous by blowing this up 2 years ago because Puthoff randomly is just there at one of these conferences and he just goes, Yeah, so like in the early 2000s, I went to Washington, met up with a bunch of other spooks and other important people, and they had us write a bunch of numbers on a piece of paper to determine if the world was ready for disclosure, based on whether or not people are going to blow their brains out, or if the economy is going to collapse, or society would fall apart. Like crazy shit. And they all decided that no, the world was not ready for disclosure. And now here is Timu Ashton Forbes telling the story secondhand. I've literally told this story. I don't even know on how many podcasts. Just weird, man. Just weird. I don't know what else to say. Okay, they talk about COVID at some point here. And this is kind of like COVID. And it's going to get more like COVID too. And this is why I'm anti-disclosure. I watched the mass formation psychosis happen during COVID, where everybody just decided that there was a magical plague that was killing everybody, and that wasn't actually happening. By no metric was that happening. But they made everybody believe that it was. They made everybody ignore their eyes, and they presented this appearance by playing around with numbers, by counting people that died from anything as dying from COVID, by batching a bunch of death statistics up and then making it sound real scary. And they're going to do this with this alien thing. I can see it coming a mile away. I don't know if it's going to be to fund the military or whatever their narrative and objective and goal is, but no matter what it is, I'm against it. No matter what it is, I'm against it. Just out of pure reactionary level. I don't trust these people. They clearly don't have our best interests at heart. Anybody that did would give this technology to the people, in my opinion. So, whatever they're going to try to push, if it's going to be an invasion or I think they're going to try to make us like all want to have sex with the aliens. They're basically going to trans us into being alien lovers. They're going to shame us, be like, you don't want a fucking alien? They're like, what? How are you a bigot? You're a bigot that doesn't want to have sex with an alien? Wow. Wow. You don't want to cut off your dick and pretend and have a cone head? Wow. You bigots. Holy shit. It's probably going to be something messed up like that. You guys are laughing. But when this shit happens, you come back here and you'd be like, damn, that Ashton Forbes was just seeing the future. He was just seeing the future. It's crazy, but these people, like, it's not a joke. These people literally make up a weird reality in their head. And they'll attack you if you don't have that viewpoint. So when they start to deify the aliens and do other weird shit, they're going to come after you for not being a full-on believer, a true believer. Okay. Now let's skip ahead here a little bit. He says we can warp a nuke again, by the way. Some here in the next 15 minutes. I'm not going to play it. So he actually says the warp nuke thing twice in this interview. Twice he says this. And it's true. This technology can blow up the whole planet, wipe it out. We can deliver a nuke anywhere with it. We can teleport something. And this is where I'm asking the blue-pilled people, the blue-pilled woke people. I'm like, what do you think Dan Farah meant when he said we can deliver a nuke instantly anywhere? And they're like, doesn't look like anything to me. Maybe he was talking metaphorically. Are you kidding me? Like, they just don't want me to be right so bad that they're even going to ignore their own heroes when they say something that corroborates me. Crazy world we live in. And you're telling me you don't think they're going to try to force you to fuck the aliens? They're going to. Mandatory alien sex chat. Guaranteed coming. Okay. Let's see. 112. Where's the next part here? We're going to skip ahead a little bit. There is really a lot of really good conversation, though. I mean, shout out to Bill Maher, especially. I think he was really good. But they talk about a lot of experiencer stuff here at the end. And truthfully, I'm just not interested in that. I have a lot of people send me stuff, talk about their experience stuff. And I have nothing against it. Sucks that you have like weird brain rays that they're hitting you with, or they're, essaying you or whatever. But, I'm more interested in the hard physics stuff. So says something here about teleportation. So let's watch this.
What I saw with my own eyes. Right.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's what they're talking about. They've seen
an
actual body.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's one thing.
Oh, I remember. So this right here, the context here is Bill Maher is saying they're talking about these people that Dan Fair is interviewing. The people that Dan Fair is, they're talking about Hal Puthoff. They're talking about Eric Davis. They're talking about Marco Rubio. And Bill Maher is thinking, these guys have seen the alien bodies. That's how they know. That's why those guys are talking to you. Wrong. Wrong again, Bill Maher. Wrong again. It's not the bodies that they've seen. They've seen the teleportation. They've done the experiments in the Lockheed Martin labs, the Northrop Grumman labs, the Boeing labs, and they've teleported a cup from over here to over here. They've seen it happen. When you've seen teleportation happen, even on a small scale, like with a cup or a can, you don't need to see alien bodies to know that aliens are real. The way that I know aliens are real is I saw a fucking plane get teleported in 2 military videos. I can infer that aliens must exist because that's the whole barrier to aliens getting here is now we can teleport. If teleportation is real, the aliens are definitely, there's no barrier to the aliens getting here anymore. Unless we find some new roadblock for why we can't just teleport wherever we want to go, then the world is basically just opened up. That's the thing these guys have seen. Hal Puthoff isn't a biologist. Eric Davis isn't an expert on alien anatomy. He's an expert on teleportation, wormholes, warp drives, how they got here. This is where Ashton Forbes, real Ashton Forbes, not a pod person mutant clone that they grew in a lab, whatever this is where I needed to be there. Oh, but Ashton, he's just a wholesome chungus. That's my new favorite thing. He's just a wholesome chungus that was the producer for Ready Player One. Don't you love? It's just like the movies. He's clearly an expert. Anyway, I'll let him talk.
Testified under oath to Congress saying this. You know, David Grush, one of the intelligence officials who testified, he talked about non-human bodies.
Okay. Yeah. Screw off the non-human bodies. Let's go to 115 because he said something here that I think is good to close it out. The legacy program, right?
I mean, we talk about the legacy program. A number of people in my film reveal that the program that has been keeping this all away from the public is referred to as the legacy program. In the film, they break down which elements of government are in it. The CIA, the Air Force, the Department of Energy, and major defense contractors make up this program called the legacy program. I personally think that when people have historically referred to quote unquote men in black, they're referring to people who have been affiliated with the legacy program.
Holy shit-o, Chato. Whoa. We use that one. I got a better one. This is for you. War. Oh, no. This is what I'm saying. We got all of those organizations, our hands are all over the MH370 videos. The deep state. Who are the ones hiding this technology? That's the people. The program is the one. It's not one individual person. It's not some mythical body they created. It represents the communication between those departments that own the control over those technologies. That's what it represents. The program. Who's in the program? Probably the people he's talking to that know all about it. And they're all secret. No one knows who they are. So it could literally just be the people we're looking at in these videos, in these interviews that we're talking about. The people that are the whistleblowers testifying to Congress. Eric Davis. I mean, Eric Davis, I think some of these people have just said they've been in the program. So here's what I'm going to tell you guys. Some of you are probably thinking, how are we going to figure this out? It might just be easy to figure out. I mean, we've been reverse engineering this. And we find, oh, we need there to be some new theory for how teleportation is possible. And then we find out there's a guy named Ferris Williams that corrected the thermonuclear weapons calculations, that the Navy had to admit he was right. And then he's got his own theory that makes this all possible. You're like, whoa, okay, that's really specific. Didn't think that was going to exist. Didn't think that was going to be real. So there probably is other stuff that will let us figure out who a lot of these people are in this legacy program. And we probably already looking at several of them. Who knows? People like Paul Sizz, for example. He was with McDonnell Douglas. They became part of Boeing. I believe it was Boeing they became part of. He could have easily been part of it too. A lot of these people could have been. So, actually, let's let him finish here.
That's what I think.
But I'm asking about the idea that there are beings, say they are able to take human form. I personally don't think they're there doing that right now. I think that's a movie.
Yeah, I've never heard that.
Okay. But that would.
And this is the thing. I think this is the last good point to bring this on is that I've said this. I keep going back to what I used to say at the very beginning now. We have to start at the ground level and build our evidence up. A lot of people want to go straight to the government is mind raying me, or the aliens are messing with my mail or whatever, right? Or they're psionically sending me messages, or ESP and remote viewing are real. Those are blocks that are near the top. We got to have a lot of evidence to get to those blocks. You start at the foundations. We don't need to worry about aliens yet. We don't need to worry about, are the aliens blue? Are they green? How tall are they? Are they good at basketball? We need to worry about, how the hell would an alien get here? Number one. Okay. Let's get a unified field theory. Number two. Oh, okay. Warp drives are now real. Okay. Let's build that up. Oh, wait. Are there new energy sources? Fusion? Okay. Let's get to that. Oh, we've got our new 5D theory. This now allows for an explanation of entanglement. ER equals EPR. We need to build up the evidence. And then we can start talking about government mind rays and MK Ultra shit and other crazy stuff that they could very well be doing. But admittedly, could also just be some schizo, nutso shit. Right? So that's the point I want to bring up here. At the end of the day, it's not about the aliens. Disclosure was never about the aliens. Sure, tell them that the aliens exist. Disclosure has always been about these 0-point energy Tesla doomsday weapons that these people have been hoarding that also represent unlimited green energy for the world forever. That's what aneutronic fusion represents. That's what they've been hiding. And now after today, we are officially at war with all of them. Find every clip of any of these people and anything they say on any of these topics. Send it to me. Put it in our Discord. We're blasting them. They don't have to talk to me. They don't have to talk to us. They don't have to address us. That's fine. We will address them. We will blast them. We will make them famous. We will have a conversation, even if it's one-sided. MH370X, I love you guys. Let's do some super chats. John Glock gives the shade, says, splendid stream, but there's an angry troll in here in the build chat and no moderator. Don't even worry about it, guys. Don't worry about it. And John Glock says, missed you. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, no, we're above the trolls at this point, way above them. In fact, a lot of them just gave up. A lot of them gave up. And truthfully, I think a lot of them got demoralized because the evidence just becomes so powerful that you can't even argue with it at some point. It's not like I made Ferris Williams exist. I didn't even know the guy existed until a few weeks ago. Now I'm like, oh, this guy clearly had the framework for the unification theory. Okay. Let's go back to our super chats. Here we go. Bar T Welding, nice to see you, brother. Hype, appreciate it. Mick Leonard, now is the time. Guys, this is happening very fast. People would ask me, when do I think this is going to occur? And I said years. I said it could possibly take 10 years. And now I'm saying I would never have made a prediction like this, that I think Trump is going to be the one that's going to announce that aliens exist. He's going to do it before his term is up. And fusion, we're already looking at them picking sites for fusion reactors. So looking pretty solid, I'd say. Slayer Night Slayer. How many times do you let David Kirkley? This is good segue. Kirkley. It's actually Kirtley. I realize I spelled his name wrong. This is probably the reason why he doesn't follow me, chat. Holy shit. It's actually Kurt, K-I-R-T. Now I've been saying Kirkley. It's Kirtley. Awkward. How many times would you let him wake you up in the middle of the night and talk about lattice structures before done honeypotting? I'm going to honeypot this guy. Did you guys see me honeypotting him already? I'm already laying the framework. I'm going to dye my hair blonde. He probably doesn't watch the live stream, so he's not going to see this. Dye my hair blonde. And now, you see me posting there? I said earlier tonight, what do you think about Ferris Williams and his 5D theory? Hey, boo-boo. Hey. Nice to see you, DK. How's the fusion reactions going? Oh, yes, I'm doing fabulous. How about you? Oh, have you heard about this guy, Ferris Williams? Oh, I heard about his 5D theory. It's just so cute. What do you know about it? It's going to work, chat. You telling me if you were a gay guy, you wouldn't fall for that? You guys, y'all are cooked. Gay people are cooked. I'm going to honeypot you. If you know about fusion, I'm getting it. I'm getting those secrets. Thank you for that donation, Night Slayer. Appreciate it. Texans Forever. Saw your image on likeness on an X ad. People, are you stealing my image and likeness? Chat, that's how you know you made it. That's how you know you made it. Somebody find the X ad that's stealing my likeness so that I can promote it even more. Can't wait. Unless it says Ashton's a giant fraud. Certainly possible. They certainly love to say that about me. I'll let you come to your own conclusions. Night Slayer, would love for you to talk to Joseph Farrell. I kind of screwed up with Joseph Farrell. and I thought he said something he didn't say. And I thought he knew about Frank Meade and he didn't know about Frank Meade. So I don't know if Joseph Farrell wants to talk to me, but I really want to talk to Joseph Farrell because he knows probably a lot about this MJ-12 stuff. He knows about the development of nuclear weapons and he knows about plasma. And that's basically makes you a god in my world. In my world, that puts you way up on the top of the pedestal. So I'm just going to wait to send him another follow-up email so I'm not so embarrassed. But I'm going to basically beg to talk to Joseph P. Farrell and be like, please, I'm just a wholesome chungus that just wants to talk to a plasma expert. Zapparoo, boom, Combat Ashton. Love to smell plasma in the morning. Yeah. We're going to chat. We are going to send a shockwave through their digital memory so powerful that they'll never want to go near UFO disclosure ever again. That's my angry Avatar Colonel guy. I don't even remember the exact quote. That was just off memory. Timothy Foster. 5 dimensions is a fact. Clap to it. 5-dimensional theory is fact. Thomas Townsend Brown was on the right track. Navy appears to be more on our side. These are good observations. UAP Gerb was crashing out because he was saying the Navy has to be part of the alien crash retrieval program, bro. Please let the Navy be part of the crash retrieval program. Who cares, number one? Number two, not necessarily. What if the Navy is being cut out? What if they are doing crash retrievals without the Navy's help? Or what if the Navy is an unwilling participant and they have to just go along with it, but they're just lower on the totem pole? There's a lot of possibilities there. So we don't know for sure if there's more departments involved, but what the people are literally telling us, and we're just taking them at face value, is that the Air Force, defense contractors, the DOE, and the CIA make up the program, quote unquote. Blue plasma balls. CIA was waiting for a badass president to break the tech out. It literally does seem that way. Biden didn't break it out. Trump actually didn't break out in his first term either. Almost like they waited for Trump. Now they're like, okay, now we trust Trump. Now we'll let him take over a few countries. It's like, what? He's going to take over like what, 4 or 5 countries? It's not even that big a deal. Cuba, Greenland, Venezuela, Iran, maybe Canada. Canada, sweating a little bit, Canada. Thank you very much, Blue Plasma Balls. Appreciate that. Jaleel Robin said, Ash, awesome stream. Looking forward to Friday. You should be looking forward to Friday, because not only did I read through all of Ferris Williams' 5D theory, not only did I read through all of his modifications he made to Maxwell's equations and understand them, but then I fed it into Grok as well to have Grok come and tell me, okay, what are the implications of this for plasma stabilization, energy extraction, etc.? And it's amazing. So Friday, we'll chill it down a little bit. We're just going to do felony physics. We're just going to commit several felonies by talking about science. It's going to be beautiful. Hey, Ocean says, Ashton and Camo, let's find that plane. Smoochy face. Uh-oh, blushing a little bit. Gold Media AI. You demand, Professor Forbes. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Where in the world is Ning Li? Great question. And now we already connected to Ning Li. To me, the connection to Ning Li is not just the rotating superconductors, but the material that was used for the superconductors. Because if you're going to make a plasma ball fusion reactor, your plasma cannot touch your material, and or your material needs to be able to withstand very high temperatures and magnetic fields, which is not an easy thing to do. And that's why in these interviews, even in this interview with Dan Farah, they mentioned this idea that maybe we needed better materials. Like maybe we knew this about this 80 years ago, but maybe we've been waiting for our material science to catch up. And now we're at the point where it's all the dam's about to break. The material science is caught up. Now we got magic plasma balls. Now we can make planes teleport. Now we can make people bleed out of their eyes and discombobulate them. Good name for a weapon, by the way, discombobulator. That's what seems to be happening. Okay, guys, long stream. Thank you very much. MH370X. Come check it out on Friday. I love all you guys. Peace out, everybody. Later.
In the fields where the skies are wide, talking about a journey through the cosmic ride. Einstein and Thorne, they set the stage for a trip through time across the space age. Wormholes connect distant points in space, traversable paths to a far-off place. No black holes pull, no crushing weight, just a cosmic tunnel to a distant gate. Talking wormholes, stargates, negative energy, travel through the cosmos, it's our destiny. MH370, where did it go? Bowling 777 through a wormhole flow. We're talking wormholes, stargates, negative energy, travel through the cosmos, it's our destiny. MH370, where did it go? Bowling 777 through a wormhole flow. Exotic matter, negative energy's the key to stabilize the wormhole for you and me. Quantum vacuum squeeze so tight, creating conditions for this wondrous flight. Static fields and lasers in the lab they play, generating forces in a new kind of way. Gravitational squeezing, Casimir's force, negative zones we need to stay the course. Talking wormholes, stargates, negative energy, travel through the cosmos, it's our destiny. MH370, where did it go? Boeing 777 through a wormhole flow. Thin shell formalism plate so fine. Spherical geometry we realign. Energy conditions that we must defy. For a stable wormhole, let's give it a try. Forces balancing the plate, creating the throat, open the gates, from Earth to the stars in a single bound, a shortcut through space profound. Engineers and dreamers hold the key to future worlds and what we could be. With science in hand, we forge ahead through the cosmic paths that we now tread. We're talking wormholes, stargates, negative energy, travel through the cosmos, it's our destiny. MH370, where did it go? Boeing 777 through a wormhole flow. From the fields to the stars, we break the chains. Understanding the universe, we make the gains. Lil Hula Crunk shines, bringing truth to light. Through his music, we'll explore the night. With wormholes and stargates, our path is clear.